Hello, my name is Eric Battle, and I am an illustrator here who lives here in Philadelphia, and I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming you to the African American Museum in Philadelphia. We are celebrating the 6th day of Kwanzaa, which is Kuumba, which stands for creativity. And I'm going to be sharing my creative process with you, and I hope that you will be inspired and work along with me as we create alter egos for the new year. Today's event is inspired by Renee Stout's Hoodoo Assassins series, which you can find in the museum's art gallery. Let me tell you a little bit more about myself before we get started. Like I said, I grew up here in Philadelphia. I'm an illustrator, and I graduated from the University of the Arts here in Philadelphia. Since graduating, I have been working in the comic book industry for the past almost, let's say 25 years or so. And I've worked with most of the major comic book publishers, comic book publishers such as Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Dark Horse, Aspen Entertainment, things like that. But today we're going to be crafting superhero alter egos of ourselves, and I'm going to take you through my creative process in creating a character and a storyline for your character, and I hope you'll join me. In creating a character, I have templates here that will be available to you on the African American Museum's website, so that you can join me in crafting your superhero alter ego. Part of creating a superhero alter ego is deciding on who your character is, what your character stands for, what are your character's motivations. Is your character a superhero? Your character could be a supervillain. Your character doesn't even really have to be human. It could be an anthropomorphic creature, such as this creature here. On the table, you'll see various examples of some of the work that I've done over the years. Over here, I've worked on Godzilla, which again, Godzilla is a major character that's not human. I've worked with DC Comics on the Waller vs. Wildstorm series. I've worked with George R. Martin. You may know him from the House of the Dragon series and Game of Thrones, but he also has a long-standing series called Wild Cards. Some of the work in this particular publication, and I brought a portfolio of also brought a portfolio of work. Some of this work is from Philadelphia's own L.A. Banks. She was an author of the Vampire Huntress novel series. So I have samples of work that I've done for her and various samples of the different character studies that I created for her particular characters. So I have some of the original designs and then some of the edited designs, because a lot of times in creating a character, you will want to do different versions of those characters and figure out which ones will work the best for you. So in creating a character, since we're creating alter egos of ourselves, I am going to recreate a version of myself, of a character that I created of myself when I was in high school. And I forgot to bring that version with me because I found it in an old sketchbook the other day. But I'm going to recreate that here with you. But again, you'll have templates available through AAMP's website to download and join me in sketching out a character. I am recreating a character character drawing of myself that I used to do when I was in high school. And I'm going to draw that version of myself when I still had huge glasses. And so again, just drawing the figure here. You determine how your character is outfitted, whether they're wearing a costume, whether they're wearing a cape, whether they're wearing everyday clothing. Again, what embodies the spirit of your character? Again, is your character human? Is your character a good guy? Is your character a villain? What does your character stand for? So some of the drawings that you see here are characters from some of my other projects. All of these characters here, and I'm wearing a shirt with this character's image on here. They all have symbols, Adinkra symbols, that embody at least 3 elements of each character's personality. So again, in creating a character of yourself, ask yourself, basically, who are you? You know, what do you stand for? What's your character's story? If the character isn't you, what does your character do? Where does your character live? Again, motivation. What are your character's motivations? And again, they can be, you know, in a fictional story, they can be anything that you want. So, you know, they can help you work through things. They can do all the things that you may not feel comfortable with doing yourself. That's all up to you, and that's the beauty of the creative process, is just having the ability to make, envision, have your work, your imagination work for you, and turn it into something tangible. So right now, again, I am sketching out just the figure work, and I'm using a non-photo blue pencil. I still, a lot of artists have gone digital, but I'm still, I guess, considered old school because I like materials that don't break down when you don't, when you need them the most. I like the simple materials of pencil and paper. So again, right now I'm sketching out the figure, trying to get the get the anatomy right. And so when I used to draw this again, this version of myself in high school, I called myself the creator, and I used to carry this huge pencil because that was again, that's what I still use to this day. Create a couple of dots there. In terms of the design of your character, again, you can decide on whether your character is wearing everyday clothing or a costume, armor, you know, high fashion clothing, whatever. That's all for you to decide. And it's about picking out distinguishing features for your character. I'll flip through some of these. And a lot of the work that you'll see here, so these were character designs for a project that I did a number of years ago called Antar. And these are some of the character designs for that particular publication. This was Antar as a child. This was his mother. And for these, you know, I had the time, you know, in the beginning to do color sketching, and that's what I did. And this particular creature I had a lot of fun with. And this creature appears later in one of the later editions of the book. But once I had this version of Antar that was decided on, and again, I went through various versions of designs for him, and I'm going to show you some of that. So in the end, we wanted versions of him as an adult. And again, I went through many, many versions. Before we decided on what the final version was going to look like. And so this is one of the earlier sketches also. Should I hold this up? So when I was probably about like 6 or 7, I remember going to the corner store with my mother, and back in those days, there used to be a thing in the corner stores called a spinner rack, and the spinner rack that was in this particular store had comic books on them. So the first time that I ever saw a comic book, you know, I was just mesmerized by, again, the colors, the action, just the dynamics that were on the pages. And from there, you know, my mom, she brought me a couple of comic books, and I just became pretty much obsessed with like trying to figure out how these things were created. And so that sparked my interest in drawing. And my mother noticed that, you know, when my sisters and, you know, my friends were all outside, I was basically in my own little world, drawing. And so she helped foster that, and she would bring me reams of paper. And to me, just a ream of blank paper was like Christmas to me. So, you know, I would just spend countless hours drawing and, you know, again, figuring out anatomy, figuring out perspective. And, you know, at first, you know, I used to copy the drawings that I saw in the books. But I guess my interest in that only lasted but so long, because I wanted to start creating my own versions of characters, you know, creating my own characters. So again, I'm still pulling out all of the different versions of this particular character that we went through. Some of these are going to overlap and all that kind of stuff, but again, just wanted to see that, you know, it's not it can be a process, and the good thing about that is sometimes you'll end up, the more you stretch yourself, you'll end up with things that go far beyond what your initial idea may have been. To me, that's always the challenge, and that's the part of the challenge that I love, is stretching myself, surprising myself. I want to draw stuff that if I saw it on a bookshelf and I didn't know who created it, I would want to buy it. So I am always looking to surprise myself, and again, stretch my imagination beyond what may initially come to mind. This all relates to, again, the principle of Kuumba, because your creativity is limitless. It's only limited by your imagination. And I see inspiration in everything. When I'm walking down the street, if you hear like snippets of conversation, that can spark an idea. If you're on the train, if you're driving somewhere and you see, something happening in the background, again, anything can spark inspiration because, and especially if you're open and you're paying attention to your surroundings. So again, and my thing, like creativity, it's the one thing that no one can take from you. If your superhero is going to be based on you, you know yourself. You may be getting to know yourself. And one of the ways to do that is ask yourself questions like, again, who am I? What do I like? What don't I like? How do those things manifest in my life? How do you see yourself? So also, with creativity, you can shape the way that you see yourself, and you also shape the way others see you. And that's the power of media. When you can control your image and how you're seen, that's power. So there's power in how we envision ourselves, and if you don't use your powers per se in a positive manner, or if you don't take advantage of how you are perceived, you stand the chance of having others mold that image of you, and that may not necessarily be a good thing. Again, characters don't always have to wear capes. One of the projects that I worked on in the past couple of years was called BLAM, Black Lives Always Mattered. This is the graphic novel. I art directed and curated and art directed this graphic novel for Temple University. Again, the title is BLAM, Black Lives Always Mattered, Hidden African American Philadelphia of the 20th Century. It features illustrated profiles of 14 African Americans who had a major impact on the city of Philadelphia. The purpose of BLAM was to show that everyday people, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. So again, you don't have to wear a cape to be a hero. The book features profiles of people like Cecil B. Moore, W.E.B. Du Bois, Ethel Allen, Alan Locke. And so illustrating some of these profiles for me was a learning process. I'll speak on Alan Locke's profile in particular. So as a child, I attended the Alan Locke School that's in West Philadelphia. only went there for kindergarten. But, you know, ever since then, the name Alan Locke, I just associated that with the school in West Philadelphia. But having to do research on him for this particular book, he became more than just a name. You know, I found out that he was the father of the Harlem Renaissance. And again, just like, you know, he became more than a name to me, just like, say, like Cecil B. Moore. You know, a lot of people who live here in Philadelphia they'll recognize the name Cecil B. Moore Avenue, but, you know, to find out who he was, what he did, and why the events of his life garnered him being worthy of being profiled in a book. So again, you know, everybody can be a hero, and again, it's your decisions and your actions will determine basically how your story is going to be told. But you have a hand in shaping how your story is going to be told. And it's just recognizing that you do have that power in your hands. I always look at my, I guess, artistic pursuits and ability as my superpower, because I like being able to take an idea and turning it into something tangible. Anyway, I'm gonna keep drawing here. You know, in creating the character of yourself. Now this, you know, I'm drawing an earlier version of myself, because at one point I used to have dreadlocks, but then, you know, I cut those off, but when I had them, I didn't realize that they had become, I guess, a distinguishing feature to my friends and other people who knew me at that particular time. I didn't realize, you know, how important that was to how people envisioned me until I cut them off. And I remember the day that I cut them off, I was heading to New York, and walking down 52nd Street here in Philadelphia, though, I was walking towards the train, the L train, and a brother stopped me. He was a vendor on 52nd Street, and he said, hey, brother, he came over, like, he had a real concerned look on his face, and he was like, hey, I noticed you cut he called them my nature. I noticed you cut your nature off. And I was like, yeah, I did. He's like, you know, I guess he had seen me many times walking past or whatever. And he asked me if everything was okay. And I was like, yeah, sure, everything's fine. He said, well, why'd you cut your nature off? And I was like, it was just time to do it. And he got offended. And it was just curious to me that, you know, again, the way we carry ourselves, you know, our hairstyles, our styles of clothing, those all become identifiers to people. But those things can change. You know, they can change because, you know, either you outgrow something or, you know, your sense of style changes, whatever. The benefits of finding your own inner superhero, again, to me is part of deciding how you move through your life. Um, you know, we all have to make decisions daily on all sorts of things. You know, all of the things that we're going to be confronted with in life. You know, you're going to have to make good decisions or bad decisions that are going to shape the course of your life and possibly others, you know, others around you. So I don't know whether I'm idealistic, but you know, I always want to feel like, I hope that we're all thinking of moving through the time that we have on this planet in a positive way. You know, that's how I like to carry myself. You know, all I can do is hope that that's how others see me. But again, like alter egos, they're fun to have. You know, again, you know, you can explore the different aspects of your personality. You know, we all have many aspects of our personalities. You know, sometimes it depends on, you know, what kind of mood we're in. Just like, let's say, the Hulk, you know, was it Bruce Banner or whatever his name is, you know, when he's in his everyday life, you know, he's I guess a mild-mannered scientist. And when events occur that upset him, his alter ego of the Hulk emerges, and he works out whatever issues that he has. But again, is it a positive way or is it a negative way? So somehow, you know, he's still a protagonist in most of his stories. But really, you know, it's all about how that particular character, you know, deals with anger, frustration, and other things. Create your character's strong suit. You know, again, is that strong suit? What is it made of? Is it made of armor? Is it made of, again, whatever you want it to be? What does that strong suit look like? Again, does it have a cape? I'm going to draw a cape on here. You know, but capes have gone out of fashion for some reason. You know, and why is that? Again, my question: are they necessary? Find whatever excites you, work towards that, recognize that it's not going to be easy at all. I absolutely love what I do. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, a lot of sleepless nights in terms of, you know, I'm like, even this morning, I didn't lay down to go to sleep until 7 a.m. Because I was working on a project that, you know, unfortunately I can't talk about it right now, but I'm, you know, you want to be passionate about whatever you do, so that it doesn't feel like work. And even if it does feel like work, it's work that you want to do. You know, again, I am always looking. I get excited by ideas. I get excited about books. So, you know, that I found a way to combine all of my interests keeps me motivated all the time. I've been accused of being a workaholic, but again, I thoroughly enjoy what I do. My main fear at times is not being able to do all of the things that I want to do. But again, just the idea of what some of those things are keeps me excited and motivated. Once you've created your character, you know, you flesh it out as much as you can, and you know, each stage should lead into what, you know, ask yourself, what's the next stage for what's the evolution of your character? What's the evolution, how does it fit into the evolution of your storyline? And you know, again, what's going to be the story that you create with your particular character? You know, I hope that that you're drawing along with me, and I'm excited to see what kind of creations you come up with when this is all over, and I hope that you will share your creative process with me and the other viewers at the African American Museum's website in the new year. Again, we're celebrating Kuumba, creativity, and I'm excited for 2024. And I hope we can all catch up soon to show one another what we've done. Okay. So again, this was an earlier version of myself as a character that I used to draw when I was in high school, and so I drew myself still in that way, you know, glasses and everything. But again, I used to draw myself with this huge pencil, and I called myself the creator. And again, you know, to this day, I still work with, you know, my pencil. My pencil is always in motion. So like, you know, at the times when I can't go out dancing, I keep the pencil dancing across the page.